In this video I will showcase the loadouts which I'm using in the current ranked metagame in European lobbies, and at first I have to highlight that this is not a list of statistically best weapons. It is what I personally find to be efficient and dare I say sufficient to just win more games, to be more impactful in battle. And for this reason you will not see HBK and IRH in these loadouts, with one simple explanation: we both have not many bullets in their high damage mags, and I just find it to be an issue when playing with random teammates, because not usually they are just playing objective or playing everything properly, and I end up having to reload being alone somewhere near the OBG or in the OBG, and I simply just get killed. And it's really difficult to carry the team to victory with such guns. And while they are indeed powerful, but you should only use them if you have a good team, like if you're not playing with randoms, or if you notice that the team you're playing with are solid players. So moving on, what I've noticed is that many enemies as well as teammates, they are using shocker Cs, sentry guns and stealth choppers in the current ranked situation. And it is quite annoying to play against them and can even make you lose the match. And for this reason I have put cold-blooded on as many loadouts as I could, because this perk it just makes shocker Cs not target you, sentry turrets will not target you either, and even stealth chopper it will not be focused on you. You can just run around completely ignoring the fact that there is a chopper flying somewhere in the sky. It just does nothing to you with this pack. Another thing, you can see that with score streaks, instead of cluster strike I have pred missile and I have a shocker C. I no longer use the advanced UAV and previously mentioned cluster strike, with a simple reason being the manowar, which will kill you in a gunfight even if you end up killing the enemy as well. And it just cuts you off from the score streak grind. And so I would rather just focus on cheaper score streaks and increase the possibility of actually using them during the match. And pred missile it can get the job done as well as the cluster strike if you just want to wipe out some area. Cluster it does have the advantage of being on the area for a longer period of time, which allows your teammates to push into the area. But I mean, would you rather use cluster strike like once in 2, 3, 4 matches, or get a consistent predator missile every match? Another thing which I'm gradually putting on the loadouts is the dauntless perk, because it basically denies the disable slowing effect. Also is good against molotovs and whatever firing thingies you have to deal with, even the manowar. It is possible that further I will end up putting dauntless on more loadouts, but I'm just showing the exact situation at the moment. The first loadout is Killer. I find this gun to be just perfect in terms of damage, ADS time, overall just mobility and firing rate. And I made a video previous season, nothing really changed now, except that we have to deal with the MG42, and so basically you have to start shooting at your enemy before they do. And so basically you have to make your guns faster just so you would be firing at the enemy fast. And for this reason I have this gunsmith, which has some range attachments, but you do not see the marksman barrel for instance, so it is just a faster variant. Next is the Grau, and since I have a killer loadout with the cold-blooded perk I decided to just use Ghost here, because it is a very good perk. It makes you invisible to enemy UAVs. And as you can see, VTOL, spread missile and other things as well. And it really just allows you to get closer to enemies without them knowing that you are there. And it can steal you games. So I cannot remove it completely, so I basically made a mix of both packs. And Grau has been nerfed, the ADS time is now slower, and I tried the Archangel barrel, but it really was just too slow. So the previously fastest Grau gunsmith variant is now the main variant. And I mean, it did become slower, but it's still the As for Kilo, you can really just try some other gunsmiths as well, but for Grau it is this gunsmith. Moving on, one of the best SMGs right now, PDW57. Now you could use the QXR instead, but I'm just more familiar, more used with this SMG. And the rest of the loadout is quite clear. You can see the cold-blooded and the gunsmith. Well, you cannot really do much with PDW gunsmiths, although I have seen people using disable pack instead of the sleight of hand, just for the potential slowing of your enemy. But I really fancy the faster reload because I often end up being quite aggressive. Next we have the Fennec, still the best aggressive SMG, although Mach 10 is a very solid contender as well. I made a video earlier about it. And another weapon which I have been seeing more often nowadays is the Switchblade X9, but I have yet to test it and make a video, so for now main one is the Fennec. And there is nothing new really to say about it, it's just an absolute beast when you're killing enemies up close. Not really that good at range, and so I have Claw to improve the situation of the range, as I can just use it when enemies are farther away and kill them, and usually I just run around with Fennec and try to get them at closer distances. The gunsmith is still the same, there is nothing to say about it further. Now, even though I have cold-blooded on many loadouts, but FAG loadout is still a must. For one simple reason, your teammates might not be using cold-blooded. And so if you just end up dying to the stealth chopper, you will not do much on your own. And this loadout I usually just switch to it when I get killed, destroy the chopper, and switch to whatever I was using before. However, now there are some changes. First of all, I have a Dauntless spec, which goes hand in hand with the reactor core, as you are not as affected by its damage to you. Of course, we have the firepower support, which is a must alongside FAJ, because you have 40% chance of basically stealing the enemy chopper after destroying it. And it really works quite often. I just destroy chopper and then I deploy one for my own team. Now, EMP grenade is in testing stage, but it can destroy the shield, it can destroy sentry turret, and many other things really, so it is quite worth it to include. And I just find it fitting in this exact loadout, like I would not use it in other loadouts, but in this strategy it fits. And so previously I had PDW in this loadout, but now I have the PP90 Bizon, because previous season I concluded that it is a bit slow in the current meta game, but it is still good. I really like the mobility, the damage, and ADS time, everything. It is very valid, just at the moment I prefer the PDW. Moving on, Type 19 has been now buffed twice, and it is certainly a valid meta weapon. It is basically a more aggressive variant of the Grau, if you want to simplify it. And since it is my second favorite Mythic of all, then I simply must have a loadout for it. The gunsmith, I currently have the Vague's suggestion from his best gunsmith video of previous season. And my own build would be, monolithic suppressor and agile stock instead of in foregrip. I like my gunsmith as well, but the Vague's suggestion, basically it has the Merc foregrip, which improves the movement speed, ADS movement speed and sprint speed, and just makes this gun into a fast, almost SMG-like weapon, which is not bad at all. And finally the MG42, my very first and only leaderboard weapon. I don't know how I ended up leaderboarding with it, but well, it happened. I mean, I'm surprised because, again, it is my first and so many people are using it nowadays that how I reached it instead of those people, I have no idea. But yeah, I'm currently still at the number 34, even though I was not using it much after making my leaderboard video. And I made a dedicated video where I explain all the gunsmiths. This one is just the most aggressive variant, but you should check that video for more options. And since it is a slower gun, I opted to use the tactical mask instead of the dead silence which you have seen in all the other loadouts, just to reduce the duration of tactical equipment effects. And it's quite nice because it reduces the duration of like the concussion grenade, flashbang and whatever. It's quite handy, especially in the current meta situation, because enemies are throwing those things at you quite often. And we have the Dauntless perk alongside the reactor core just to wipe up some objective. And the concussion grenade, which also has a lesser effect on you because of the blue pack. So even if you throw it accidentally at a wrong place, you will not really be affected by it as much. And also it is worth noting once again that Dauntless and Molotov, I can just throw Molotov and walk around it and I will not die because of the Dauntless pack. And that concludes my main loadouts. The rest are just 4 videos which I have yet to make. And you will be seeing them in the foreseeable future.